Okay, I'm back. I'm in the front of the table so you can see more closely what's going on. Let's look at our outline. First, we use a 5/64 bit to drill pilot holes along the circle to allow the jigsaw blade to be pushed through so we can begin cutting with the jigsaw. So this is the gourd that I just drilled the holes in the last segment. I put some masking tape over the hole there because the seeds were constantly falling out. It's going to help keep my workspace a little cleaner here. So you got a 5/64 bit in. You go to anywhere along the circle and just begin drilling, okay? You drill 3 to 5 holes really close together. You try to have them join. Okay. Now, if once you get good at this, you'll be able to get them really close together. If they're not adjacent and touching, take your utility knife and kind of put it through there to cut the edges of all the little circles you drilled. Be gentle with this. If you use too much force, you're going to cut, okay, your finger or the gourd itself. Just kind of push the point through, okay? Because what we want to do is get this blade, through the hole. So you can see that. Okay, bingo. Now, we got to cut out the flap. Now this is the important part, so I'm going to take some time on this. Let's look at the outline so I don't forget anything. So my jigsaw, it's a newer one, and I think most of the newer ones probably do. I'm not an expert on these jigsaws, but the base plate here can be adjusted. Okay, so we're going to adjust it, and why we're going to adjust it is because when we cut this flap out, we want a wedge effect, okay? We want the inside of the gourd edge to be like this, and then the outside of the flap to be like this, so it sits down and catches, okay? If we drilled these sides at a 90-degree angle, the flap would just go straight through, okay? So we want a wedge effect, and we do that by putting the blade in at an angle and cutting at an angle, okay? So you can cut it like this, okay? See how it's angled? But to make it easier and to cut at an even steeper angle, the base plate of these jigsaws can be adjusted. So it comes with an Allen wrench. There's an Allen screw at the bottom of this base plate. I'm going to loosen that, okay? And we can adjust the base plate, okay? You can see that. So what's going to give me the maximum angle here? Okay, let's do it. So that, okay? So let me pull this out. I'm going to keep it like that, okay, at an angle. I'm going to tighten it so it's not flapping around while I'm cutting, okay? So let's do this again. You can see I can get at a much steeper angle. You can see the blade there, hopefully. So I'm going to start cutting. At this point, you want to put on your dust mask. I'm going to put on eye protection. I'm only doing one, so we'll put on the ear stuff. And because I want to talk, I'm not going to put on the dust mask, but you should, especially if you're doing a lot of these. So What I do is I put it in there. I angle the blade at such an angle, okay, down. The base plate's angled, which helps me angle the blade. I'm going to hold this against my stomach, and I'm going to start it. And now when you use these, put the jigsaw on a slow speed. We don't want to go fast, especially if you're new at this. And one other thing, these jigsaws the cutting action can be adjusted so the blade can go up and down, which is what we want, okay? Or it can go in an orbital direction, which will be a fast cut. We don't want to do that. That is going to cause jerky cutting, and it's going to go too fast, okay? We want precision with this. We don't want to see how fast we can go. So we put it in. I got it on like number 2 out of where number 1 is the lowest speed, number 6 is the highest. I got it on the up and down cutting motion. Okay, so I'm going to start cutting here. Okay, so I've twisted as far as I can go. When you stop the blade, back it up just a millimeter and stop it, readjust, okay, over, back the blade up before you start it, okay, start it up and then engage the uncut portion. Okay, back it up, stop it, turn it, start it while it's backed up. Okay, stop it, back it up, start it as it's backed up. Okay, before you pull it out, wait for it to stop. Okay, set this down. All right, there we go. That is how you do it. Okay, so now we got our lid, we got our corresponding numbers. We can easily, as you can see, clean this inside out, and I'm going to go over that in the next section. But because of the angle of this, it's going to sit snugly and be able to be reattached easily. And we got our zip ties at equal distance in a triangle pattern. That's going to hold it in place. This is an awesome way to clean and reuse your gourds. Now, a couple tips. If you want to save seeds, let me take my glasses off. This is a time to do it, okay? You can see there's hundreds of seeds in here. You can save these if your gourds are only like a year or maybe 2 years old at the most. Mine were in the barn for about 15 years. They're not going to be viable, so I'm just going to dump all these. They're not going to come up. You know, they're too old. But if you just bought these gourds or grew them last fall, you can definitely save these seeds, maybe plant them this summer or the coming summer as you clean these. You can even put them in the freezer and try to grow them a year or two down the road. Different gourds can cross-pollinate. So, for example, you know, you can have this gourd plant and this gourd plant cross-pollinate. You're going to get in the resulting gourd a combination. The seeds are going to be a combination of those two plants. So you're not always, if you take seeds out of this type of gourd, for example, you're not going to get this type of gourd unless you've hand pollinated them. And you can look online. There's actually a website, seedman.com, gourd pollination. I found that just today. If you want to save seeds and you want a certain type of gourd, you have to hand pollinate these to make sure all the seeds inside are the type of gourd that you want. So Anyway, to reduce dust again, to maybe get a cleaner cut, if you see it's shattering a little bit, or you're not really used to it, you can soak the bottoms or soak the gourd in water again. That'll reduce the dust. It'll give you a cleaner cut. This was pretty dry. I got a pretty clean cut without soaking it. As I mentioned, put your jigsaw on a low speed, and the up and down motion of the blade. Do not do the orbital, which is a fast cutting motion. And the last tip, I showed you how to hold it and turn it, hold it against your stomach, and how to rotate to get a complete cut around the circle. Okay, so that's it for that section. So this part you can see is really dry. Again, the best way to clean it out is to soak it and soften it up. And also, if you try to get this out, unless you're taking the seeds out, take out what you can by hand. Wear a dust mask. It's going to get really dusty as you take this out. But then we're going to soak it. You're going to be able to pull and scrape the skin off the inside of the shell, make it completely clean, and that's also going to reduce the dust. So anyway, I'm going to get the tools and items for the next section, cleaning out the inside, put them on the table, and then I'll rejoin you here in a minute.